Thank you. Please join me in saying the chant of the robe. Vast is the robe of liberation, a formless field of benefaction. Wearing the universal teaching, I realize the one true nature, thus harmonizing all being. Vast is the robe of liberation, a formless field of benefaction. Wearing the universal teaching, I realize the one true nature, thus harmonizing all being. Vast is the robe of liberation, a formless field of benefaction. Wearing the universal teaching, I realize the one true nature, thus harmonizing all being. Thank you to Nellie for being our online monitor today, helping us all to connect and helping me get situated this morning as I wanted to. I'm going to start today with a longish quotation from the book Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind, which I actually read yesterday or joined in reading yesterday with members of the Zazen and Sharing group, a couple of whom are with us today and may have things to add that I leave out. But this has to do with breathing. It's the second section of the first part of the book. The first one is posture. This is breathing, and it's page 9 of the book. It begins with a pull-out quote. What I call I, or what we call I, is just a swinging door, which moves when we inhale and when we exhale. When we practice Zazen, our mind always follows our breathing. When we inhale, the air comes into the inner world. When we exhale, the air goes to the outer world. The inner world is limitless, and the outer world is also limitless. We say inner world or outer world, but actually there is just one whole world. In this limitless world, our throat is like a swinging door. The air comes in and it goes out, like someone passing through a swinging door. If you think I breathe, the I is extra. There is no you to say I. What we call I is just a swinging door which moves when we inhale and when we exhale. It just moves, that is all. When your mind is pure and calm enough to follow this movement, there is nothing. No I, no world, no mind or body, just a swinging door. So when we practice Zazen, all that exists is the movement of the breathing, but we are aware of this movement. You should not be absent-minded. But to be aware of the movement does not mean to be aware of your small self, but rather of your universal nature, or Buddha nature. This kind of awareness is very important because we are usually so one-sided. Our usual understanding of life is dualistic. You and I, this and that, good and bad. But actually, these discriminations are themselves the awareness of the universal existence. You means to be aware of the universe in the form of you, and I means to be aware of it in the form of I. You and I are just swinging doors. This kind of understanding is necessary. This should not even be called understanding. It is actually the true experience of life through Zen practice. So I remember reading this maybe 25 or 30 years ago, and having an intuitive sense that I connected with what Suzuki was saying in this passage. Certainly that I was not the person, I as the small self that I thought of myself as, was not breathing, that it was a natural process that was unfolding. That breathing, by which I mean active respiration, breathing in and out, wasn't just something that I was doing, but a natural process that I shared with all other people, all other mammals, in fact, all other vertebrates. It's an echo, it seemed to me, of the rise and fall of the ocean, bringing oxygen and nutrients to the tide pool creatures that later moved onto land. And that it's an internalization of this wave-like motion that we inherited from our land living ancestors. On the next page of this short chapter, Suzuki Roshi starts talking about separating from space and time, and I got lost 25 or 30 years ago. I got lost and I will say discouraged. I figured I was never going to understand what he was talking about, and I certainly didn't when we read it yesterday. But there is something about the emphasis on sharing, on connecting within Appamada's setup, particularly in these small groups that come together for reading texts, that really means a lot to me. And hearing others' voices and hearing their reactions almost always opens up something new to me that I had been unable to appreciate before. And so I want to talk about something that came up yesterday. One of the people there was Jay Cross, whom many of you know. And I was reminded that Jay, a long time ago, had said, well, we are just talking dirt. And that this is part of a natural process. We're not only swinging doors, but we're also inheritors of the processes that make up our bodies, and that we come out of the soil, we come out of the air, we come out of the light. All of these things work together and make us talking dirt. This very vivid, memorable simile that she came up with, or metaphor rather, that she came up with. So she pointed out really the magnificence underlying that it seems like that it's kind of decentering and it takes us out of the center and makes us not so important to think of ourselves as talking dirt, but that there is a magnificence in that, in what we share with all other creatures. And I connected that, I was talking about tide pools and oceans and stuff before. So I connected with a couple of other quotations today that have to do with the ocean. Alan Watts at one point wrote, "You did not come into this world. You came out of it like a wave from the ocean. And you came out of the dirt talking." And I remember how Thich Nhat Hanh has written, "Enlightenment is when a wave realizes it is the ocean. The rise and fall of our diaphragm joins ocean and earth and air." And then Rosemarie Gates, who's with us today, Rosemarie Gardella Gates, I will say, pointed to what seems to me kind of ethically the most important part of what Suzuki Roshi taught. It's one thing to try and empty yourself out, but she said that what happens when we meet our thoughts, there's the motion of our breath going in and out, which is going to happen as long as we're alive. And there's another thing that happens when we sit still, and pretty much all the time when we're alive, which is that our thoughts are churning, and they are, our discursive mind is bringing up discursive thoughts, and meanwhile, the other part of our brain is enjoying the perception of the moment and so on. And she pointed out that our minds go off, and it's simply natural that they come back because we are many things all at once. We are many things from our past, and we are both our small mind and our Buddha mind. And they move together in a kind of a sine wave that can be more concentrated. We can come back from our thoughts, as Joko says, with practice, we can come back more quickly, but they will go off, and it is only natural that we come back. And in fact, that really struck me as the most important part of what we read yesterday, building off what Suzuki Roshi says. Actually, these discriminations are themselves the awareness of the universal existence. That, yeah, we have discursive thoughts, and that is part of the unfolding of the universe. We don't have to fight with it. We don't have to steel our sense or ourselves against going off into thoughts. We will come back. It's part of the natural process, and we can be radically compassionate to ourselves along with that, or as part of that realization. We will breathe in and out, and by allowing that process to unfold and watching it with equanimity and compassion, we can see that it's not really I doing anything with the breath. And the watching of the breath and the falling away of the watching of the breath and the returning to the connection with the breath. Those are natural processes which are going to help us and enable us to really fully live our life in this moment. So I want to read now a couple of poems from Rumi. One is The Guest House, and then one is a brief section from a long poem, The Great Wagon. And I've read these before. Flint certainly has, and others, and these are touchstones for a lot of us in our practice. In The Guest House, Rumi writes, "This being human is a guest house. Each morning, a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness, some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all, even if they are a crowd of sorrows, who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture. Still treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond." To me, that fits perfectly with what Rosemary was talking to, that it is possible to meet malice and shame and other difficult thoughts as they arise with welcome, and to allow them to be what they are and to pass away as they will. So Rumi says, this being human is a guest house. Every morning, a new arrival. It's more like 20 or 30 times per second, a new arrival of thoughts, So, and then the other is a section from the poem, A Great Wagon. And I will say, we read this in the precepts class that I got to facilitate for the last couple of years, in the section about sensual desire and sexuality, because there's a whole lot in the poem that has to do with desire and intimacy with another person. But I'm going to skip those parts and just read the part about the movement in and out. Today, like every other day, we wake up empty and frightened. Don't open the door to the study and begin reading. Take down a musical instrument. Let the beauty we love be what we do. There are hundreds of ways to kneel and kiss the ground, which is what one does in Islam in prayer. Out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there. When the soul lies down in that grass, the world is too full to talk about. Ideas, language, even the phrase each other doesn't make sense. The breeze at dawn has secrets to tell you. Don't go back to sleep. You must ask for what you really want. Don't go back to sleep. People are going back and forth across the door sill where the two worlds touch. The door is round and open. Don't go back to sleep. I'll include a couple more couplets here. I would love to kiss you. The price of kissing is your life. Now my loving is running toward my life, shouting, what a bargain. Let's buy it. So, centering that offers us more connection. That's what seems to me so beautiful in what Suzuki Roshi is offering. And indeed, it goes back from the very first teachings of the Buddha about not getting confused about who we are, not getting confused about how the things that we encounter moment by moment don't really constitute a separate self. They seem to, because that's the way our discursive mind operates, but it's a mistake to try and hold on to that. And that mistake will lead to suffering. And that has been the teaching that passed through Dogen to Suzuki Roshi and to our teachers. And I'm really grateful for it. And I would be grateful to have a conversation with anyone who would come forward at this time. Denise, I see your hand. Welcome.
Thank you, Joel. Thank you so much for your talk. And I felt such a lot of kindness coming from your words and your images that you used that helped me soften down. And just in at the beginning, when you said that you have workers outside hammering along, I remembered when I was sitting with a friend of mine who was dying. And it was just while she was fading away, somebody was hammering outside in the streets. And so I remember so much this moment of hammering was just hammering. And there was no story to it. And her breathing was just breathing, and there was no story to it. And then when you continue talking, it's this, and you talk about exchange and connection, and it's like the connection between the in-breath and the out-breath, and this little moment in between, like the passing from one to the other, which is so delicate. I had much more in my mind when I rose my hand. And we were just, in the Swiss Sangha, we are just reading always in the morning, Tuesday mornings. Now we are reading also Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind. So it's very much accompanying us, and sometimes glimpses of understanding and then complete not understanding. And the preciousness of exchange, between the members of the Sangha. So I think I just wanted to, above all, to thank you for enabling me to get in touch with deep places inside of me.
And thank you, Denise, for bringing the memory of your friend and of that moment. or those unfolding moments. Thank you.
Thank you.
I see Sally Holligan's hand, physical hand. There you go.
Thank you. I'm not usually on my phone, so I was just working out what to press. I want to say thank you for reading that piece from Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind, because you took me back to sitting in a village in Sardinia on holiday, reading it. And just having that lovely, I had a really wonderful sense of expansiveness. And you're just sitting, watching people go by in this sort of lovely quality of sunlight and not necessarily understanding, because I was interested when you were saying, some bits can speak to us and some bits like, what is it? What's he pointing at? And yet, even though I couldn't quite grasp it, it felt like, a smell or a flavor of boundlessness. And I think that's the thing I most remember from Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind, just, like the sense of something quite wonderful that I was drawn to, but I couldn't quite put it into words or speak to it, but I kind of felt it.
Mm-hmm. Has that obviously that sense is still present with you, and I love the kind of synergistic way that you're saying a smell, a feeling, that it's moving it outside the realm of words. Has that changed for you over time? Or is it different, or is it the same?
I'm more than anything, I thought I must go back and read it again. Let's go back and read it again. But when you read it, I was back in Sardinia.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure it will be changing. I'm sure it will be constantly changing in me. And yet I still get that wonderful sense with those words.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that you were reading to yourself alone when you were in Sardinia. And
Well,
I wonder if you get a chance to read it with others, if that would change the experience for you, as it is totally doing it for me.
that's interesting.
Yeah.
I can imagine that. I can
Mm-hmm.
well imagine that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'll look forward to doing that.
Good. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Sally, may I ask where you are now?
I'm in the UK. I'm in the Nothing Missing Sangha.
Great.
That's near Lancaster. That's in Lancaster.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
With your other Sangha, wonderful Sangha members that I'm privileged to know. It's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I had gone to Catholic high school and in a good, if tiny, Catholic university in Houston, and was used to syllogistic arguments. If this, then that, and therefore, and the arguments that follow from premises to conclusions. And if there's one thing that Suzuki Roshi does, he's never syllogistic. So it's a habit of mind that I have to, that I think now that I'm 74, I'm beginning to move away from, and being able to be more open to intuitive ways of connecting. And like I say, I really love what Sally just did, with the kind of synergism that can come, that's really, at least for me, pretty much always available, but that I usually ignore in trying to understand things. My left brain is so dominant and so word focused and everything that the appreciation of what comes without words is just emerging for me in my life. And, darn, what were all those Chan and Zen masters pointing to the whole time? But appreciation for things that emerge without words. I see Trudy. Hi, Trudy.
Hi, Joel. So good to see you there. And I was really just sitting with my sense of sitting in this room that I've sat in now for, I don't know, 37 years or something. Oh, we've lived in the same place. And there's a fly buzzing, and the cat has been grooming itself. But there are children playing in the car park. And which is opposite our house. And we taught our children to ride bikes in that car park. And our daughter is 45 today. And there's something about that entering a momentless time, a kind of, moment in time that isn't constrained by time, if that makes any kind of sense. But it's like I was just sitting with like all of it, like all of my life, including presumably my future, whatever that looks like. And it's kind of something that happened as you were reading that piece by Suzuki Roshi of the sort of immeasurable ordinariness of it, and that time is just that time's another construct. So I was just really enjoying that kind of spacious moment and wanted to share it with you because you'd sort of brought that forth.
So your awareness of a memory and connection with the unfolding of time, teaching your daughter to ride her bike, and today's her birthday. Happy
Yeah.
birthday to her. Do you count that as a discursive thought, or is it part of the spaciousness?
Ah, it feels really spacious because it feels like they are dots. They are like if you were to join the dots, they are part of that picture, but they're part of that picture held in everything else.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of a weird, slightly odd space to kind of think about, but it feels like it doesn't feel like a sequential. Oh, today's her birthday, and we used to do. It hasn't got that kind of narrative quality. It's just like there are children playing in the park, and there'll be forever children playing in the car park, forever kids learning to ride bikes. Yeah, it's more like that. Like there's this timeless moment that I'm part of. And it has to be conveyed in thought in some way.
Mm-hmm.
But the language starts fixing it. And then that does something to the spaciousness of the experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's what I was just thinking. It's like it was probably completely spacious until you tried to tell me about it. And then it had to go through the word fixating part. And somehow that seems connected with what Rosemarie also was pointing to yesterday, that things that look separate
Mm.
actually come to us joined and spacious. And then we notice them, and then we make up a story or something like that. But that we can come back to that spaciousness too, because it's always pretty close by for me, uh, if I'm willing to pay attention.
Mm.
And I don't know. That's a lovely reflection and image. Thank you so much,
Mm. And thank you. I'm so glad you're holding the space. Thank you.
Marla. Welcome.
There we go. I feel suspended in terms of practice and talking about the breath coming and going and returning, naturally returning to our center during Zazen. And the suspension is because I'm also holding my breath involuntarily because of what's happening on the West Coast of the United States and elsewhere. And so there's this contradiction about how breath is present in my life and my practice. It's difficult to talk about, and I find my mind kind of splintering and not being able to focus on the Dharma as well, and memory shards here and there. It's very, very fragile and dangerous time internally. I mean, never mind externally, but internally, it's Zazen is probably what's keeping me going, but the breath is sort of a allegory for confusion and fear and lack of balance. So I wish I could more articulately respond to what you actually taught us today, but this is where I find myself right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Marla. I will say that in the silence in between folks coming forward here, my mind has been going to the same thing, thinking about those places in the world where bombs are falling, those places where starvation is happening through the choice of people who are making those things happen. And what's happening in our country now, the rapid descent into fascist control. My mind was going there, and I was taking the opportunity to offer metta, to feel connected some way.
Yes, I'm grateful for your thoughts, very grateful as leadership, because we need to use our practice to manage through this as people have managed through things for centuries. Teachers have always faced students whose experience was shattered, and they'd have to bring their minds back to focus on the Dharma. It's eternal, that sort of pattern, and teachers are brave to even try. So thank you.
Thank you, Marla. In our small selves, there's not much we can do. But somehow I do have faith that in our connections with Buddha nature that we can, our connections through Buddha nature that we share, that we can find pathways to open up to things that would seem impossible otherwise. Rosemary, welcome.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you for the beautiful talk. And this is actually for Marla. You know, Marla, see, I'm going to cry. You're living the Dharma. You're living the Dharma through your love and the love you have for your dear ones. And what you speak of the Dharma, you know, maybe study or being involved with groups and all of that, it's not important right now. It's having faith that your love is living the Dharma right now. And that's what you can do now. And the other thing is that you came forward, which is another expression of the Dharma. You came forward to speak with Joel and to speak with us. So please appreciate that about yourself in this really challenging time for all of us, but particularly for you in this moment. So I just wanted to offer that. Thank you.
Thank you, Rosemary. It is another of the incredible, tragic conundrums of our lives that there's always suffering all around us. And it's very poignant today in the United States. And we don't know a fraction of what of the actual suffering that's going on. It would take 1,000 hands and eyes to hold a fraction of it. I'm going to share my screen for just a moment and let us together close now with Flint's encouragement for our practice aspiration. I will make this bigger, sorry. I hope everyone can see and read along. Let's say it together 3 times. May all awakened beings extend with true compassion their luminous mirror wisdom. May the merit and virtue of this group, along with our daily practices, extend to all beings everywhere. May all be relieved of suffering, free from fear, longing, aversion, and ignorance, and may the way of awakening go on endlessly. May all awakened beings extend with true compassion their luminous mirror wisdom. May the merit and virtue of this group, along with our daily practices, extend to all beings everywhere. May all be relieved of suffering, free from fear, longing, aversion, and ignorance, and may the way of awakening go on endlessly. May all awakened beings extend with true compassion their luminous mirror wisdom. May the merit and virtue of this group, along with our daily practices, extend to all beings everywhere. May all be relieved of suffering, free from fear, longing, aversion, and ignorance. And may the way of awakening go on endlessly. Thank you. I turn to Nellie for our closing words.
Thank you so much, Joel. And thank you, everyone, for being here and for your wholehearted participation. Barna's programs and facilities are supported through your generosity, and your support makes a huge difference. There is a link for contributions on the website. Thank you so much. And if you would like to continue to meet, share, or simply connect, please just stay where you are, pop yourself into gallery view, and join other participants and myself for a further 30 minutes on the online porch. So thank you so much.